Hey.
Hi Brett, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm fine. Give me 1 second.
So do you hear me right now?
Yeah,
Perfect. So if you want, we can just start.
yeah,
I am ready right now. We will speak from here, Facebook Messenger.
yeah.
Okay. Do you? Okay, just a second then. I just take my earphone to make sure that like my voice comes clear. We can start. I was just finishing other podcast right now, so it's for me good time to save the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Darling, do you know where is the earphone? Ah. So, Brett, are you all set up?
Yeah, I am recording and I have tested everything, so we should be fine.
Okay, if you think so. Okay. So I am ready. We can start actually.
Yeah. Can you how did you pronounce your name again?
Sami. Sami, yes.
Sami,
You can
okay.
say Sam. Actually, people know me Sam as well in Europe, so.
Yeah, okay. So we've talked already for a little bit, but just to the general audience, I would say give yourself a quick introduction. And
Okay, it's Sami. I am an independent entrepreneur and a social science expert who is doing some media and cinema works as well. That in the past I born in Istanbul, Turkey. So last 10 years I am in Europe based. I lived in Spain 1 year, in Hungary, in Prague 5 years, and recently 2 years I am in Brussels. So that's me. I made my degrees in communication, media, and strategic communications relations. I made a second baccalaureate in philosophy. I made master in European relations in 2 European countries. Currently, I am doing some technological and digital works in Brussels, Belgium. So that's me, shortly.
okay, great. Maybe you could elaborate on what it means to be a social scientist, because I think
Well, in a nutshell, I perceive myself a social scientist because, well, basically you need to know where the societies are standing on and what are their needs, where did they come from, to where they sailing to in the term of sociological development, economical development, and different identical addresses. This kind of comparisons in a observatory basis, and if you do complete a research to make analysis, it makes a social scientist, but is not, of course, limited to. You have to have interdisciplinary connections to have ability to connect your the social side with technological development, for sure, media development, for sure, other sciences. You have to be always open to learn, open for develop yourself, develop your skills, whatever you see around yourself in the term of phenomena.
Okay, nice. And you said you work for media and you've done films. So
Yeah.
do you also like since you do say researcher, are you also like working with universities or colleges, or are you?
Well, Actually, last 2 years I'm independent. I work for myself. I was, of course, working in a companies like 3 years. I was working for Expedia Group, for example, for the tourism sector. So I wanted to always develop myself. As you know, like Expedia was a technological-based Microsoft subsidiary company. I developed my international business relations experience there. But like last 1.5 years, I work myself for my projects. Of course, I joined last 1 year for the project development competition in Université Libre de Bruxelles, ULB, chair of social entrepreneurship. I made a technological project which entered one of the best projects in the process. In the past, I was directing a movie. I take apart famous directors in Georgia, in east of Turkey, with the famous Greek director, Theo Angelopoulos, photography director. I made my own movie, which is awarded in European delegation. So what I wanted to say, like, if you, for me, if you are doing something, if you are author, you know, like, because director means at the same time author, you have to make a research as well. You have to have ability to see what others don't see. This is a key element, and this is your social intelligence starts from here to ability to see. And the second plan, ability to write, ability to elaborate. As much as a director business, to also not include the things that mustn't be in the frame, and this makes your author side unites with the director side, and then you become a good director. You can become like, it doesn't, like, you know, you mustn't be always looking for someone to come and encourage you to do something like with the production company or other things. You have to be always on the seek of writing, analyzing, searching, and self-support to do any job, to gain money, to support yourself. Because sometimes it's difficult to find people, find someone that support your project. You have to be always gaining your own money and supporting yours and starting from little to grow the things.
Yeah, I definitely agree. How did you because I think you said you did the movies in Istanbul. I'm guessing that as well.
Yeah, exactly. Because I was doing my baccalaureate in Istanbul Maltepe University. There, actually, you can also find there was one competition started. It's called like European, International Human Rights Film Festival. It was the name of the festival, and they made a challenge, said that make a movie no longer than 60 seconds. So it was quite challenging. You couldn't enter the festival with more than 1 minute length story. So what is it important here? To express your idea in a 60 seconds is so difficult, it's so challenging. If you could do that, actually you achieved some point. This is why cinema is important, because cinema is different than writing a book. You can express it in 600 page, 1000 page, but in cinema the image is quite powerful. If you know how to express, it was our challenge. So I made a movie for 60 seconds. You can find in YouTube. It's called The Yellow, and it's basically one boy's ball just while playing in the border. The ball escapes to the other border. So while he's trying to get the ball, he shooted by a soldier. So it was just image that we don't see anything, any soldier, anything, just the voice and the ball. and this was creating a good humanitarian image for them, which I was having my award by the European ambassador with this movie. And then later on, I had some stories that joined again the Istanbul Film Festival about this 1 minute challenge. I made, of course, the short movies as well, but I haven't realized my first feature long movie that I am planning in very, very soon. So it takes time, this kind of things. You feel that like you need to feed yourself from different aspects, you need to make network, you need to read more, nothing is late. We are always on the process. So it's this kind of things happen, and of course I have much more way to go as well. This is what I can say for the movie.
So how did you end up in Brussels? Is that something related to the awards you got from?
No, actually is not. What I wanted to end up, because I made my master about like European relations and intergovernmental studies. I was in Prague and I worked for the tourism company. Then one moment I said myself, maybe I want to also have different experiences like European political environment. Maybe I could engage some communication, strategic media development, or something like a political environment in somewhere else. Then I checked, actually I find Brussels, Belgium in general quite attractive. I just wanted to move. That was the only reason, to have different experiences. Also develop my other languages, like which I was speaking a bit French, like B1 level, but here it became like B2, or I'm going also C1 maybe. So it was the reason to make much more network connections, public affairs. Maybe also I wanted to experience a bit more political soul. I think this feeling of it, which is all combined. But it wasn't directly related to media. But here, of course, I continue to search for media and political jobs as well. Meanwhile, doing my own projects.
Yeah. So are you still looking into doing more movies, or are you just going to look forward in politics?
Well, actually, it's people think that you cannot do at the same time two things together. Well, for me, it doesn't work. Like, of course, I wanna do movies in the future. Maybe next year, maybe 4 years later, maybe 5 years later, maybe next summer. I don't know. I, of course, want to do that. But I think recently I want to professionally first engage some political environment first. It's kind of, like United Nations or NATO or other European environment-related public sectors take a part to make a network, to get more experience, to of course, professionally develop myself in this center here. Then who knows? Because right now I do podcast as a second profession. Of course, we don't gain money right now because it's so difficult to gain money in podcasts. It's a long way to go. It's just good experience, good network, good knowing the people and keeping hot and warm your tendencies. But I think I will focus, but my priority right now to get engaged and more political atmosphere in Brussels.
Yeah. So you mentioned the podcast. Do you maybe you should mention the what the podcast and what it's about?
Yeah, the podcast started actually last year September. You can find it in Spotify. It's called Surklasse Podcast. We have in Instagram as well right now, I think around 150 followers. Well, it's quite new for sure, but we have qualitative programs. We started first in the Turkish language, but right now we have English programs as well, which gonna be more and more programs. We have economy programs, we have entrepreneurship programs. Economy programs are going well in English. For example, today we made other program in tourism sectors where tourism sectors are going, and did the travel industry responded with the coronavirus and its crisis, because it's a really important topic. We made it in English. We met in other economic program. We presented Google and Microsoft, Nvidia, these kind of technological companies we are also doing in English, which you can find in Spotify. Recently, I am also on the process of making my program under this podcast streaming, because we have different programs with different names under the Surclass podcast. So I built this week Sam City, which gonna be unique and first mainly in foreign language, which means like English and French. We are going to do our first program under the Sam City tomorrow, which we will talk about cities, urban and creative environment. So these are developments.
So since you started out from in Bulgarian, I think it was.
Where?
Was it the language you started in was Bulgarian? If I was
No. Turkish. We started.
Oh yeah.
No.
Okay,
We started Turkish, but then of course it turned. Right now we have more requests because we have more foreign network. We have Dutch friends, we have Belgian friends, we have French, Spanish, Italian communities that we have. We are quite having vibrant environment. In Prague as well, I had a lot of international environment. So they all ask us that, Sami, please, do English streaming because we don't understand. We said, okay, we are going to do English streaming as well. This is our challenge. We started first Turkish, now we have English programs, but in the future, for sure, I wanna have French programs as well, French language. I would like to invite some, French-speaking environmental, maybe politicians from Brussels, maybe from Flemish part. Maybe we can go in Ghent and Antwerp, make something about bicycle road, because we love cycling as well. I'm growing plants. Maybe it can be talking about some plant, about environment, like anything you can find interesting, quite interesting and popular topics.
Do you have any plans on?
Yeah, I have nice plants in my terrace. I have a nice terrace. I made aubergine, radis, apple, and tomato. I have right now 10 lemon, baby lemon. It's my challenge. Yeah, it's good hobby.
Oh yeah, okay. I meant like, do you have any? Is Brussels just like a stop for you, or are you going to move into other directions once you're out of here?
Well, we never know the future, but I may say Brussels, following 4 or 5 years for sure, I will be based in Brussels, Belgium at least, because I have some plans to make here, gain experiences, join festivals, or make other kind of network. Of course, work and also make salary is important to have income, solid income. Or maybe run your own business. I have this close future target, like minimum 5-6 years. I am planning to be in Belgium, but we don't know future. Maybe it's gonna be 10 years, maybe 15 years. But right now, I may say that like close future, I am not moving anywhere. I will be in Belgium.
Yeah. Okay. So definitely, like, how is life in Brussels? Because I go to Brussels every once in a while, and to me it's just the same because I've always been here. So
So you are in Ghent, you said that? Or
No,
in
Antwerp.
Antwerp.
Yeah.
Oh, I've been in Antwerp. Well, Brussels is for me wasn't a random choice. It was quite a conscious choice, I may say. I wanted to come Brussels because, you know, I find in Brussels quite multicultural city, as everyone says. But at the same time, I think many people has a prejudice against Brussels, like especially Flemish people has in the north, because when you come from Antwerp and Ghent, you find Brussels a bit, you know, it's a bit chaotic, noisy. Is not nice. There are industrial buildings. Flemish part is nice. People say something like that. But Brussels is a really nice city. I really like the city because there are greens, there are good forests, there are good cycle roads. But you have to know. For example, my friend was coming from Czech Republic to visit me in Brussels. She was saying to me that, you know, Brussels is not nice city. It's ugly buildings. I mean, what they mean by that, like they just go around to Gare du Nord. They just go to their Gare Centrale. They walk around in six hours. They want to discover all the city. No, Brussels is much more than that. Brussels has unique quarters. Once you go around Bois de la Cambre, there are amazing places where you can read your book. When you can come other corner in some part of Schaerbeek, there are good attractivities are going on. You can meet fantastic backgrounded people. You can join festivals. You can find stories to write a book. You can find stories to make a short movie. You can find interesting people to make a project. Like, it's quite colorful. Of course, there are good neighborhoods, bad neighborhoods in the term of, maybe noise. Maybe people are throwing much more garbage to the street. Of course, like this is, I have no word to that, and it's clear it's happening. But not always like that. There are good places. It's about who you see, what you are looking for, and what you see. It's important to give meaning to phenomena that you are looking around. If you are a good, architecture in eyes, you can really construct some harmony within this diverse. You can find some colors. It's really good. I mean, I think it's a good place for an artist. It's a good place, Brussels, for a politician. It's a good place for even for environmental caring people, for people who want to eat good. Is affordable. According to Belgium income, you can eat organic food. There is no big difference. You can pay your home rent. Is a far better condition than many European countries, aside from cultural richness.
Oh, okay. So it's definitely, you would definitely recommend Brussels. And
yeah, you know, actually I can recommend, but for those maybe like people like you, maybe I like people like me, I can recommend to them. But some people have different expectations, you know, because I have Italian friend. He says, no, I don't like too much rain. I don't care organic food. Yeah, I mean, I don't care politics. Okay, this guy likes much more Barcelona, much more other countries. Yeah, I can understand. But if you are a person that can give meaning with different things and different understanding, if you are open to new things, I think it's a good place to be. It's a good experience. It's really la vie en Belgique. I think c'est bon.
So you mentioned at the start that you're like an entrepreneur. What type of businesses are you starting or interested in?
Well, I am interested with especially I was interested quite with environmental cases when I was living with my partner in Prague, because we came together actually with my wife. I am married, by the way.
Yeah.
So we came I think that like there are many activities and people are much more conscious than Eastern Europe about environment, about circularity, about this kind of ecologic stuff. And I wanted to make a sustainable technological device, which it was quite challenge for me because I like new things. But what I'm telling you that one is nothing is impossible if you don't if you really want to do that. I didn't study engineer. I didn't study about anything, but I wanted to make a technological energy storaging indoor sporting tool. It was my idea. I wrote. I like last year for about 4-5 months. I was making some reading about how to create energy, how to transform energy, because I had no clue. I didn't study this kind of electric engineership and so on. Then I wrote a page and I wrote to university. University really liked the idea, but of course there were much more barriers because I had to find engineers to develop the project. So I, thanks to my network, my one of best friend in Istanbul, he was an engineer. I find him to talk and develop the project and so on. This project is quite developed and still on the process. One of my plan D or plan C in the future that still we are working on it. From one side, I want to develop this project in the future of 3 years, 4 years, maybe next year. We can build our one company as well for this. From one side, this can go while I am focusing other projects because I like to do different things. Like I just come to once to life. I will not abandon the world without doing some remarkable things.
Yeah, sure. I think, I definitely think there's like people can do a lot if you just have the right mindset. I think I'm about to upload an episode with a woman I talked to who is like traveling the world just without really having much money. She just goes out and about and mainly goes to southern countries to really like explore cultures and stuff like that. So maybe that's something you could be interested in. I think myself, I definitely am starting some stuff myself, some companies and some definitely working already on making some movies. So what is there anything else that you do that you haven't mentioned?
Well, this kind of so far I can describe you right now. Well, of course, there are some small things that I think is right now still not necessary to mention to give much more complicated informations. But yeah, I mean, recently I'm turning around these topics. But for sure, at this, I am also searching a job for professional environments, such European institutions recently.
Yeah, so you're definitely like big into environmental stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
How did that come to be? Did you like grow up somewhere where that? Well, like you said, is it different? You said it was different in other countries, and
well, first, one of the reasons also that I learned French in the university. I will be honest here because, well, I wanted to a bit get experience in French-speaking country, but I didn't want to go France. So only choice for me to Brussels. Then I get, of course, it wasn't the only reason, but it was at the beginning, and I said like, okay, I don't wanna live in France because it's so complicated. Maybe going France, some part it was good maybe 20 years ago, but right now reality is much more. I think different from my aspect. Of course, I say Belgium is still better condition from many things, and plus that's related what I said. Like much more multicultural, much more open for European affairs institution, different backgrounded people, like because in Belgium it's quite cosmopolitan. Everyone comes from half something. Not everyone, but most of the people, especially in Brussels. Like father Portuguese, mom Italian, mom Greek, father Turkish. But at the end, it's creates some Belgian culture. Or father Luxembourgish, mother is Wallonie. Like it's all this kind of stories, but people mainly focus much more. What is this is my aspect? I'm not talking about Flemish part or nor Wallonie part. I'm talking about Brussels, especially Brussels. People are much more focusing the common things rather than differences. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in France, it's more obvious that people focus much more differences than common things. This is what gave me image that I couldn't find actually interesting to, because I wanted to speak English at the same time. I wanted to speak French, but your French is normal that you develop. People is also in Brussels. People are first language Flemish. Then the French might be. French is kind of common and kind of tire language, and the culture is not from France, but is especially made in Brussels. The made in Brussels culture is quite unique. This is what I seen when I was here for a touristic purpose in 2018, and after that time I said my wife that next year we are going to Brussels to live, and the next year we were in Brussels. We came somehow.
Yeah, was it difficult finding your way to here, or was it just?
It was quite like okay. It was of course difficult. We were thinking, how to come, how to arrange the businesses because I had a business there. But we somehow arranged. My wife companies just simply relocated her from her country, like Czech Republic, to here. And I said like, let's go then. Let's go, I will find something. And then we made project, we find time to each other. And so it was the way. Of course, it takes time, think, and you make calculations that are economical. Saving had to be that you spend money, you rent home, and there is expensive things, of course. But if you want really something, you can do that. I mean, you have to, of course, make sacrifices. You cannot expect something happen without giving effort or spending money. Nothing is free. You pay with your time, you pay with your money, you pay with your stress. Yeah, but somehow it happened.
Yeah, sure. I think you mentioned NVIDIA and stuff like that. Is that part of the industries that you're in?
No. I'm not worked in this kind of industry. We just like to make analysis. In this economy program, we each week we analyze one company or one about share stock. We talk about Uber, we talked about NVIDIA, which you can find NVIDIA and Uber programs in English in Spotify. You can just write Sur Classe Podcast. It's easy to find. We just talk how NVIDIA built it up, started up, how it developed, what was the share price, what is the current share price, what is the company's feature, what did they do about artificial intelligence, remote control, this kind of stuff. And we thought, each week we talk about some company. Last week we speak about Microsoft and Google. 2-3 weeks ago we speak about Amazon and eBay. This kind of stuff. Yeah,
you should definitely send me a link to the podcast. Do you need to have a subscription on Spotify?
Yeah, it will make us happy. Actually, you can even subscribe in Instagram, which every second post is English. So I think I can send you. Don't worry.
Yeah, but definitely send it to me. Somewhere after the podcast, so I can.
Yeah, definitely. I will send
you in the description so people can find your podcast.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. So for me, it was the thing. Like I think we are here, and each day is important. Each day, if you wake up, you have to learn at least something to say yourself evening before sleeping that I did something useful. I did something to get peaceful inner side to make me sleep easy. This is I think what motivates me.
Yeah, definitely. Was it so you learned French, so was it
We,
difficult to find the right, you moved to a different country, was it difficult to find like uh the right people to talk to, or did
yeah,
you
of
have that in
course.
advance?
Yeah, of course, it's difficult, and but I never have prejudice, and I like to people who always complain. People say that, oh, Dutch people are cold. Belgic people are cold. They don't like to speak with the people. Like, I mean, who says this? There are always cold-blooded people, and everywhere in Europe, in the world, also. Like, you cannot say that like these people don't like people. These people are arrogant. No, like I don't like prejudices actually. That's why for me, well, I was always open and I'm always like extrovert. I was going to introduce myself, people, conferences, to any conference about artificial intelligence, about European infrastructure, road mapping, this kind of stuff. I was joining last year. Anything about politics, about yeah, whatever. Of course, it's difficult, but you should be fighting because you came to the different country. You cannot expect immediate people. Oh, welcome, Sami. Like we were waiting you 100 years. Like no, of course, no one has to have these expectations. You have to make yourself to express other people. This is my duty. This is people's duty, and I don't complain. Only other challenge is that the language barrier, because companies are looking always trilinguist. You have to be speaking Dutch, English, French. This is actually a bit discriminatory because it takes time to find your dream job, because people see your CV that like you are not born in Belgium, you don't speak Dutch, your French is not native level. This is a challenging part. Because yeah, I think this has to be softened only in from my side. This has to be softened, like because in Belgium, like most of the people speaks English as well. Whatever I see, of course, if you are graduated university or master degree, you speak English. So in professional era, much more people speaks English, French. It's nice to develop your language, but it mustn't avoid you to not get inside of a good company, because you have good degree, you have diverse background, you are a social person. If you believe yourself, it should be a bit more easy to make people to find job in English in professional environment. Only challenge is that one.
Yeah, were there any, you said like you were going to stuff like AI conventions. Were there any conventions that because of Corona you're missing out on? Because
Like what you mean exactly? I don't understand.
well, like with Corona, a lot of the public events have been closed. Were there any like gatherings or?
No, like they weren't released. Also in Brussels, it was quite forbidden. But we were going for walk. Just like 2 days ago, we walked 20 kilometers towards south of Brussels. It was very nice, next to the parks and so on. No, actually they weren't, but we invited some friends to our place, open air. We drink something like wine or something to socialize. But no, really, activities are just frozen. It will be much more better in a month, I think. Let's hope that it's gonna be better.
Yeah, I hope so as well.
So you missed to travel as well?
Yeah, and I was thinking about going to some, I don't think conventions is the right word, but like, what's the word for?
Which
Um,
one? Like quarantine? What you mean?
yeah, no, some of there were a lot of startup events,
Events.
and
Yeah. In Brussels also a lot.
yeah, and a lot of them got cancelled, and I kind of got yeah, it was kind of a bummer for me that I
Mm.
think a lot of technology event, just in general, everything is closed. So I definitely thought it was very, very sad.
Yeah, that was very sad, but many things happened in online. Yeah, from one side, I was just talking with my friend. Maybe it was beneficial for the environment that a bit, world cleaned itself from the CO2 print footprints and so on. But it will be all right in a month. At least we have internet. At least we communicate each other. See, is amazing because you couldn't find me in Brussels. I couldn't find you in Antwerp. We find each other in internet thanks to power of internet and new technology that made us connected.
Yeah, I definitely think, like, especially with everybody or a lot of people being at home, it opened like a lot of doors, and people got more like on the internet, so they might have like started seeing more
Yeah.
about the abilities that and the connect how connected you can be around with just
Yeah,
people.
definitely. I totally agree. It's just like you are rediscovering your possibilities, the period of discovering possibilities. Like, that's the thing. We should all focus it. Yeah.
Definitely, I think that I've seen a lot of podcasts happening, and just saw a lot of people coming up online and seeing what they do. Just like it keeps amazing me. You know how much. Every day I'm learning, and I'm seeing something new pop up, and it's very. Because I also myself with the podcast I'm doing here, I sometimes play some ads, and then I target more worldwide wherever I can, and seeing that there aren't a lot of differences across the globe, even though you have some cultural differences. A lot of it is just the same people. Sometimes they do the same type of stuff that
Of course.
here is done, and sometimes it's like something that I don't even understand what they're doing, and it's very much.
No, I understand, but this is a period of people will make YouTube channels and speak. There will be always a possibility for everyone. Main thing, I think we should keep our enthusiasm and motivation to continue. Like, in that aspect, always dedication is important. This week you are happy, second week, second month, third month, but fourth month, if you get bored what you are doing, it would be just pity to not continue that one. That's why I wish both of us to continue in that path.
Yeah. I think maybe I could ask you a question that I started asking people lately. It's like, where do you think the future is going? Like, what
future think. Well, where do I see it? It's like about so broad question. Like, you are asking about.
Well, you could say like you could say in a technological field, or you could like in anything you are doing specifically, where you see things going, or in general with the world, like what are we going to do next?
I think there is a quite possibility in the future for humanity. If we use our possibilities very well, it can go in a good direction as well. Some people say that no, we arrive at the end of the world. We are in a Great Depression. Nothing gonna be the same anymore. No, like these kind of experiences happened in the beginning of 20th century, mid of 19th century, full century of 17th century. Like it happens. It's just like it's a kind of loop. Is a circular wheel. And people always focus today that no, this is the end of the world. The world is finished. No, if you very well use the technology about this artificial intelligence, unite with the local production to make people, to orient people much more healthy way of eating, make of sporting, and changing the school system a bit more in a beneficial way, because classical and traditional school system is not sufficient anymore. We spent our years and necessary 8-10 years in primary school until coming high school, which can be learned in 4 years, half and a time. Then you can spend this time much more efficient way. That's why we start the life so late. I was thinking like after university, I was finishing my master, I was 26, 27 years old, but I would achieve the same thing maybe 22 years old. Like, you know, we could see these kind of things in the future from the kids to make them ready to do life 5 years in advance. And then people can choose much more what they want. Of course, there will be new fields of work, there will be some new definition of employment, new definition of technology. But if you really want it, I think it can be driving very nice and more intelligent, clean feature. I have hope. I'm positive about this. Of course, I have also some bad scenarios, but who cares? I mean, I don't want to even think too much this.
Yeah, what do you think about working from home? Because you could make a case that it's like better for the environment and stuff, but then in some cases you might have people that actually just are always at home and are pretty isolated from the outside world. Do you think that's a thing that we're gonna get out of this?
You know, Brecht, actually I'm supporting the idea not work from home, but work from anywhere. People, why just they focus that if you don't go office, you hate to be at home? No, like I think you know, Russell also is quite rich about making co-working spaces, co-working cafes, co-working outsider zones. We can basically develop those. We can make a more glass like nature seeing offices, which doesn't require too much electricity, looking nice to socialize with the people. You know, you can make this. That's why I like the idea about working anywhere, not home, because if you work always at home, it really stresses you. You have to sometimes separate your sleeping place to your eating place, your working place to your making support place. Because if you are always in the same zone, it stresses you. It's really not good for psychology, because then you start to dream about your job, then you start to dream about numbers, you start to get more, I don't know, like more mechanic actually. That's why I like the idea, which is necessary and good for environment. Why one company, a global company comes, opens office in Romania, open office in Belgium, open office in Finland. Why? I mean, you can make remote working, but people who are in the same cities, you can raise more, for example, team meetings, team buildings outside. Instead of paying rent to the companies in countries, pay their restaurants, pay their gaming, pay their social encountering, pay for them bicycle, pay for them holiday. Like you can really, if you want, you can spend less money and make your employees more happy. This is traditional working conditions. I think after this coronavirus will be history partially, and also working times will be reduced. Working days will be 4 days. This is highly I am believing for, because scientists are explored that Once you work 4 days, it is much more productive. Instead of 8 hours, work also 6 hours, but instead of making 1 hour break, just 30 minutes, then you are more productive, you are more reward-oriented way of producing the things. This is what I can say.
Yeah. Well, I think, do you want to keep going for 10 minutes, or are we going to...
No, well, I'm fine. We can even finish, because I think I tell many things that it's supposed to be said.
Or is there like any something you want to say?
No, I just thank you that we take time. I think we speak useful informations. Yeah. We shared, we talked. I'm just like hopeful. I can just advise also people from here, because some people might be younger than me, older than me. I am 30 years old. I don't know, and I have like 7-8 years of working experience with the university degrees. I just want to add, I'm telling this because to make clear an important place. Don't limitate yourself about anything. You might be coming from technology background, that you can be painter. You can be coming from medicine sector. You can be singer. You can make a startup, invent something. You can be at the age of 20. You can build a company. You can at the age of 35. You can learn third language. It's just like whatever we do here with the podcast, we make our voices to be heard. This is my motivation, other motivation as well. I want to make people more and more encouraged, because the things sometimes we speak in the podcast, it doesn't mean that we are expert. We just interpret. We have ability to read and interpret with our own words and combine them with our own imagination. This is what makes the life colorful, and what we share with others. And this is enrich you with the term of any other cultural elements, technological elements, any other knowledge. Just to be open about anything. Don't scare from the future. Don't embrace the technology. Read. I'm trying to learn everything always, Belgium. I'm trying to learn Flemish part. I am trying to learn cultural differences, codes, people's mindset, but never ever be prejudiced about anything. I know we have all prejudices. Sometimes you cannot escape yourself from prejudice, but minimalizing prejudice is the best way to learn and get happy. This I can say.
Definitely very inspiring word. So I guess we'll end it here, and I'll see. Might see you somewhere.
In the future, in the close future, and we will be always speaking. And thank you for your time as well that you take. You prepared your questions.
Yeah, you too. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much as well, Brecht.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure being with you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye. Take care.